In 1776, a ragtag band of farmers, merchants, and dreamers declared war on the most powerful empire on Earth. No navy, no treasury, no guarantee of survival. Yet, within 2 centuries, those rebels forged a nation that would command armies, shape economies, and stand at the heart of global power. How did a fragile experiment of liberty transform into a modern empire? This is the untold story of ambition, betrayal, and destiny. Stay with us and subscribe for the full journey into the rise of the American empire. The story begins not in triumph, but in defiance. The year was 1775. The 13 colonies, stretched thin along the Atlantic seaboard, seethed under British taxes, redcoat patrols, and a king who dismissed their pleas. In taverns and town squares, whispers grew louder: liberty or death. The revolution was a gamble, led by unlikely figures. George Washington, a planter with limited battlefield experience, would shoulder the impossible task of confronting the might of Britain. Men like Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin put quill to parchment, declaring ideals that seemed almost fantastical. That government derived its power from the consent of the governed, but ideals alone could not win wars. The Continental Army starved at Valley Forge. Soldiers marched barefoot, leaving trails of blood in the snow. Farmers turned soldiers carried muskets against drilled British lines. The survival of the rebellion seemed impossible. And yet, through grit, alliances, and sheer resilience, the unthinkable happened. Britain, exhausted and overstretched, recognized the United States. A republic was born, but the revolution was only the beginning. The true story of America's rise was not just about independence, it was about expansion. Lands to the west, riches to be claimed, and rivals to outmaneuver. The young nation stood at the crossroads of destiny. Would it collapse into weakness? Or would it forge an empire unlike any the world had ever seen? Victory in 1783 secured independence, but not security. The fledgling republic was fractured. The Articles of Confederation left Congress weak, states quarreling, and the treasury empty. Rebellion flared at home, and European powers circled like vultures. The dream of liberty threatened to collapse. But in Philadelphia, 1787, men gathered in secret to rewrite destiny. Out of heated debate came the Constitution, a stronger framework that bound the states and gave the United States a government capable of power. George Washington became the first president, a steady hand guiding the fragile Union. Yet America hungered. To the west lay endless frontier. Land, opportunity, and danger stretched beyond the Appalachians. Native nations resisted fiercely, and blood was spilled in skirmishes that tested the young republic. In 1803, Thomas Jefferson seized opportunity with the Louisiana Purchase, doubling the nation's size overnight. For $15 million, America had secured an empire of land, but expansion invited conflict. Britain and France, locked in European wars, dragged America into storms of global politics. In 1812, the United States again faced Britain in a brutal war. The White House burned, but the Republic endured. By its end, America stood taller, more confident, a power no longer dismissed. Through the 19th century, ambition turned westward. The gold of California, the promise of fertile plains, the steel of railroads, all pulled the nation toward a continental destiny. But this expansion carried shadows. Native tribes were displaced, often destroyed. Enslaved labor fueled Southern wealth while abolitionists in the North demanded freedom. The contradiction of liberty and slavery split the nation. The Civil War erupted in 1861. America against itself. Brother fought brother in a conflict that left 600,000 dead. But from the ashes emerged a stronger, more centralized nation. Slavery was ended, the Union preserved. America had bled, but survived. By the dawn of the 20th century, The United States had become an industrial giant. Its factories roared, its railways stretched like arteries across the land, and its navy patrolled distant seas. In 1898, with the Spanish-American War, America claimed overseas territories: Puerto Rico, Guam, the Philippines. No longer a continental republic alone, the United States was now an empire with global reach. But the true test was yet to come. 2 world wars would call America not just to defend itself, but to lead. In 1941, the empire that began as a fragile experiment faced its greatest trial. The attack on Pearl Harbor pulled America into a conflict spanning continents. Factories became arsenals, citizens became soldiers, and a generation was forged in fire. On the beaches of Normandy, in the skies over Berlin, across the islands of the Pacific, American power surged. By 1945, the United States had not only defeated fascism, but unleashed the most fearsome weapon the world had ever seen: the atomic bomb. The mushroom clouds over Hiroshima and Nagasaki announced more than Japan's surrender. They announced the arrival of a superpower. But with victory came responsibility and peril. Europe lay in ruins, Asia trembled, and a new rival loomed: the Soviet Union. The Cold War dawned, a shadow conflict of ideology, espionage, and proxy wars. America stood at the forefront, wielding both military might and cultural influence. From Hollywood films to Coca-Cola, from aircraft carriers to astronauts, the American empire was everywhere. From revolution to superpower, the rise of the American empire is a story of contradictions. A republic built on liberty that expanded through conquest. A land of opportunity marred by inequality. A champion of democracy that wielded the tools of empire. Yet, its impact is undeniable. The 20th century became the American century. Its science reshaped the modern world. Its culture crossed every ocean. Its economy set the rhythm of global trade. And its military presence defined the balance of power. But history is not destiny. Empires rise and empires fall. The story of America is not finished. It is still being written in every election, every invention, every conflict. The same ambition that carried rebels to victory in 1776, that drove settlers west, that lifted soldiers onto foreign shores. That ambition continues to shape the present. The rise of the American empire is not just the story of one nation. It is the story of how power is gained, wielded, and tested. It is a reminder that history is never static, and the fate of nations rests on choices made by human hands. This has been the rise of the American empire, from revolution to superpower. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold history waiting to be revealed.